SWAT came to my house, disrespected my family because somebody knocked on me. And you know what? It was you. But sometimes you gotta
That was pretty good, though.
Thank you.
I was in there. I was playing the movie back in my head.
Welcome to Equals Podcast. I'm Katie Joy. This is Shango, Lene, and Seven. And we're happy to just talk about everything that we love. What is the podcast about? Everything that we love. We're talking about love between black men, women, business, whatever's on our mind. All of us have something like in the business, finance sector, art sector. So we're just gonna kick it off. So Lene, what happened to you this week? Because I know, like, we were just talking about customer service. You know, that's my little frame of expertise.
And I know that y'all people are at home currently, given the pandemic, so you may not be in office with your supervisor. So you feel as though there's no need for you to transfer me when you don't want to do your job. But before I get there, so I called Sprint because my bill just happened to
You
go
putting
up.
Sprint. You putting Sprint on deck.
Put 'em out
Oh
there.
my God.
Sprint.
We
Because-
naming names.
Because had I had her employee number and had I remembered her name, I probably would have called corporate because that's how upset I was. Because you were trying to explain to me what I was trying. You can't, first of all, when it comes to my money, you can't tell me anything. The bank can't tell me anything. Sprint, because I know where every dollar, dime, half a cent, I know where it goes. I'm one of those people that balance books, all that good stuff. Stop playing with me, girl. Why is $120-something on my bill?
You
What is
had
this?
receipts, but
Too many receipts. And she said I didn't pay off my iPad. You're a liar. It's a chargeback for an iPad, ma'am. That was paid off in November. Why are y'all charging me 2 months later for something I already paid off? Make that make sense. And because I got an upgrade in the store, that's a $20 service fee. Because someone assisted me with the upgrade in the store, that was another $20. I said, so you mean to tell me, so because someone did their job in a building, I have to pay for that? And who else was going to assist me with the upgrade? I can't do it myself.
well,
Because even if I do it online, they still have to call me to verify that I upgraded it. So what? I said, I'm not paying that. You're going to take it off. And she's like, ma'am, I'm just trying to explain to you that wasn't on there. The money you paid went towards that bill. I said, Rebecca, I don't know what her name was. Rebecca, transfer me because you obviously can't assist me. This is beyond your scope of assistance. And she said, well, I'm trying to tell you. Hold on. Woo.
I think it goes with, to me, the changing culture. Like, one of the things I do is teach customer service skills, and it's just a lack of interpersonal skills, and it literally is due to social media because you do not talk to people enough.
don't.
I'll say in
practice
this
talking.
particular
They
situation,
don't listen.
because I was sitting there, I think that woman just ain't know what the hell was going on. Like, she ain't know how to do her job. But this goes back to the topic that I was saying. I don't know if y'all ever gonna see the first show, but COVID has been an excuse for people to not do their job.
Really?
And I don't know what it is, because you don't have to get that interpersonal communication or that energy of me being right there with you, but it's gonna get handled. So with that, like I say, just do your job. You know what I'm saying? You can do the right thing. Have some
I
type
just
of
want
integrity.
people that work in customer service. I want you to actually listen to the people that are talking to you. That's it. And if they're telling you something, I'm like, ma'am, so I have this confirmation number. Well, this is not on your account. You all sent it to me. How is it not on my account?
Well, yeah. The thing is, with that, people have to know. Like, the first thing I always tell a manager, and this is like the trade secrets, is like, empower your employees to be able to handle a difficult situation or a difficult customer. Because the first thing you need, like, the first thing is, people don't call customer service just to say, hey, how you doing? I was just checking because y'all do such a great job with customer service.
Right,
There's
I got a
usually
problem.
some tasks.
Here's one thing
So
about that. And working for my previous employer has shown me. Just because what it was.
Don't ever ask for a manager. Why not?
Yeah, but here's the thing. That's what taught me. You know what? Some of this schooling is important. So for some of these jobs, you do need to. It require a certain level of skill to do because I don't know. Some of these people in these customer service jobs over there, you know what I mean? Because you hire any and everybody, for a call center job.
I was gonna say it's a job that a customer service job is usually the job you think you need the less skills. Like if you and we are an 80% service industry in America, like 80 of us work in some type of service. So it's really the skill we need to hone the most.
Yeah. But, like I said, my previous employer, all you had to do was read the script. You put in the problem, read it, and then, from there to get skillful at it, you can kind of deduce, okay, this is this person's problem. But even starting off, this your problem, this how it's handled. But the thing is, and I don't know if it's an America thing, if this is worldwide. I mean, I just saw an article that's saying that literacy rates are
I was
going,
say, I think there's a
plummeting.
problem now where people don't read to
People
understand.
don't read.
They just read to recite.
Yeah, and that's what I stated.
I wish y'all would stop talking about me because I know I don't read as much as I should, but personally,
we acted together, so that
I did learn
you
it.
can read something.
Right, I know.
It's
I'm
just
just saying. It's a tendency, like when you know that it's a changing landscape when they're starting. If you're reading an article on Facebook or a newspaper and they're like, oh, this is a 3-minute read or a 7-minute read, because people's attention spans are just like going and.
I don't feel it's that. Because if you are into something, like if this is a YouTube video that you want to watch and it was 30 minutes, you gonna sit there and you entertain. But you know what I mean? Like you pick and choose. And this was kind of the conversation that we were having. We have to, as a culture, we have to kind of define what's cool. We have to redefine what's cool.
Yeah.
Because like I was saying earlier, we have to make the nerd cool in black culture. Because it's this thing now. I mean, we letting other people determine our culture with hip hop and all this stuff, but that's another conversation. But the thing is, people are like, oh, the thug cool, the athlete cool, and all this, that, and the third. But at the end of the day, the nerd who is the one that's either making them money or taking their money. They getting a legal problem, then the lawyer, that nerd, he the one that's getting them up out of that. So, these stockbrokers, a lot of these people are a bunch of nerds. It might be old money mixed in with that and everything, but it's nerds. So it's nothing wrong with being a nerd and to embrace that,
For me, it was like me and Seven were kind of having a little sidebar before about people giving us our culture. Like there may be a celebrity and they're put up to be some spokesperson for black people, and I'm like, that person may not speak with me. It's not that speak for me. They may have the platform, they may have the money,
exactly.
Okay.
But Al Sharpton doesn't speak for me. Love him to death.
Okay.
We're not just. I'm saying the LeBron James is not speaking for me, but I do respect the fact that he uses his money, his platform to make change. But at the same time, he is not my be all end all on my political views. And if you're not careful, they will say, well, he's the political black person for us.
Who is the white authority on these? Who's the Asian authority, or who's the Arab authority? He speaks for all Arab people, but when Oprah or like you say LeBron or Jay-Z say something, we all supposed to be with that. Yeah. That conversation that y'all have had or having, that's really a military science and political science issue, because these people basically give you who your hero is, or in turn can give you who the enemy is. So if you don't have, I'm not gonna say if you don't have your own brain, but if you're not using it, it's like, okay, why are they showing me this? Why is he saying that? Who is in his back pocket? Because what is it? Public relations. Mm-hmm. Public relations. That is a field. Basically, it's not to tell you the truth. It's to cover up and lighten the blow of bad news.
It's also to make you think what's important. Like, you can have a whole there's been 2 to 3 articles on one celebrity and her past affair with one man, and they've put several articles out on it. But that is, to me, public relations. You making an issue that's not really a thing. Oh, this person tied their shoe today, and they tied in a double bunny loops, and that's what's the news today. And we have to be careful. Well, I am trying to be careful. Like you said, why are you showing me that? Do you ever question why you see what you see? Because a lot of times,
It's a
I
distraction.
feel like people love to live, I call it, in a cacophony of your own opinion. You want to hear things that agree with your opinion all the time. You always are going to seek out the thing that verifies your opinion, and if you don't have any pushback, you know what I'm saying?
If it's too smooth.
Yeah. You know what they say, if everything's coming your way really fast, you're going the wrong way. That's one of those things that I see when it comes to what you listen to, what you hear. You know?
That's just an issue in the media period now, because because we often have a conversation that it's very hard to, if you're having an honest debate, it used to be I could find something that supports me. That was even before social media or whatever. I could find an encyclopedia, article, a journal, or whatever that will support my opinion just like you can. But the thing is, what I respect about those hard copies of resources is that you actually had to quote your sources. So I could go in and I could find the people or I could find the articles or the journals or the research in behind why you believe what you believe or what stance you're taking. Even though I may disagree with it, I can respect it because the proof is there. But now you have people who think they can get on Google or Bing or AIM or
Google
AOL.
experts.
Yeah, Google experts, and you ask them a question. Or perfect example, you can bring up Quota. You can bring up Reddit. You can get on all these forums, and you think because you type in an opinion and someone agrees with you, and I just noticed the other day that like these huge sources like the Wall Street Journal or Forbes or what was the other one? The Washington Post, they no longer quote their sources. They no longer quote their sources. They will have the journalist listed, and they will, if they have a picture, they'll source the picture where they got it from. But their information is no longer sourced.
I think the thing is, too, I see a movement is like people will use anecdotes as evidence. I know 3 people that experienced this, and I'm going to make it a rule. No, you just know 3 people. For anecdotes to be actual evidence, you need to have an aggregate. Like when I was doing research, if I had to do my own research, I couldn't have a sample size of less than 30. Yes. So I had to have more than 30 people in my sample size before I could be whatever statistic. And I was just doing it to practice statistics, not even this is something real research. So you telling me because I got stopped at the red light when I bought mac and cheese, and you did too, that mac and cheese is causing us to get stopped by police because we 3 all bought mac and cheese and got stopped. That's not the same as you having enough numerical and empirical data to back that up.
Well, I think that kind of is a good segue into what the topic that I suggested for this week. The topic for this week, what I felt needed to be stated, just because sometimes you get in a few verbal spars on Facebook or in life, but it's not being afraid to challenge academia. Usually I'm pretty good about not arguing with people on Facebook, but due to this vaccine thing, you know what I mean, I have, gotten a few altercations on there. I'm pretty peaceful, but I know how to avoid a fruitless conversation as well. But the reason I bring this up, you have certain people with certain degrees that may not be in virology or might not be, that type, just because their name says doctor. It might not be the doctor needed for that type of research. So when you get to questioning some of these nurses or pharmacists, and this is no shot fired.
Don't talk to me. Y'all cannot talk to me. Your job is aftercare. It is not pre-care. You cannot talk to me. Your job is aftercare. That's what you're versed in. That's what you train in. Do not talk to me about diagnosis or anything like that. You don't have anything to say to me.
So you ain't got now with that. If somebody wants to debate after this,
feel Feel free.
Feel free.
Feel free.
I'm ready to fight.
We got
I'm
people,
setting up
we got
rings.
people that want
all
I
all
got
the
smoke.
sponsors.
And
So-
if you want to talk to me otherwise,
But that goes
Because-
back to what I said. My life rule, one of my life rules: if you're not my God, an expert in your field, and you can't write me a check, your opinion
Well,
has
here's
to
the
be
thing.
like here. And,
And the reason that I bring that up is, like she said, these people are aftercare, but they're passing themselves off as they're the authority.
Yeah.
You know, and they've done little to no research themselves. So when we're talking about the vaccine and I bring up mitosis, which is just cellular reproduction, and you can't have a basic conversation with me about that, that in turn is a problem.
Yeah.
Because, okay, yeah, you just want to say trust in science. No. Science is, I have no problem with trusting science, but science, as she was stating, is going to have trials and studies behind it. So you're going to have empirical
data. Yeah.
Thank you. Empirical data to back your statement. So with that, if I'm having an argument with you and then I ask you for something, if you're the authority, you shouldn't be telling me to Google anything. To prove your point, I shouldn't get the response, Google it. No, your response should be, here's this, and this. That's why you need to be, okay, I'm cool with that. But if you can't give me that, then it's a problem.
And I think for me, it's about manners. I know I'm like customer service oriented and things like that. It's really about the manners. One of the things that there's this guy named Jordan Peterson, and he's a Canadian professor. I sent you one of his videos, and he thinks that all postmodernists are ungrateful people because they question science. But he doesn't realize or question things that he believes that society is as good as it is today because of all the inventions and things that happen, but he kind of dismisses that everybody is not experiencing the best parts of society. One of the things that he, as a white man, doesn't realize is that because you have your PhD, yes, you've done some research, but just being a white male and you saying, oh no, that's invalid, people take you for your word. And people have just made themselves, they're starting to make themselves experts on things they just don't know, you know.
Well, the reason I say that, you know, even you still have some of these doctors still going off of the theory of evolution, not the law, the theory.
Yeah.
Because look, if man came from monkeys and that process happened, there would still be in the jungle monkeys transforming into men and just walking up out of there. So until you can show me that, the missing link, it's still a theory. So you can have all of your evidence of certain things happening in nature and whatnot, but it's still a theory. It has not become law. So that's basic science. I'm pretty sure y'all understand that.
Yeah, and that also brings into question in regards to natural selection, which is why I don't support the evolution theory, and I'm about to become a nerd really fast. But if we're doing natural selection, according to you, the best species survives. Every time we mutate or we have eugenics or whatever, and you move on and you procreate, the best, basically the strongest survivor, that's even in regards to genetics, the strongest gene or whatever is going to survive, because it is human nature for evolution to keep moving. Like you have to keep going, you have to procreate, you have to, in regards to population and all that stuff. So the reality is if we honestly came from monkeys, there would be none, because they would be considered an inferior species. Right. So they shouldn't be able to move forward to procreate. So
even
I'm
with
just gonna
that,
say that and leave it alone.
Black people, if you are supporting the theory of evolution,
you better not. Now
it's in turn a problem, because you have to really realize what you're supporting, because what it basically states is the last species is the best species. So, the new and improved invention on the species. So with that, it's essentially saying that it's going to wipe out the old one. So you can take that for however you want to. I'm not going to expound on that. But yeah.
I was just going to think. When I studied this, because I don't have a medical degree, I do like science. I love science. I love science. You know what I'm saying? I made volcanoes. I grew plants. But I was the way I was explained is your body should have adapted. You know, like for us now that we've had generations of people using phones and screens and things like that, and we use our thumbs, maybe our thumb would have like a little hardened part. You know, like our next generation of kids
if that
would
was
have
the case, we would all be a bunch of LeBrons out here. Like everybody be jumping out the gym.
But they used to say horses used to be the size of cats, and they adapted.
I cannot think of the name of it. Oh my God! But it's basically what it states is what you do today can affect generations ahead of time. I can't think of the scientific.
Butterfly effect?
Huh?
Butterfly effect?
But no, it's a scientific term. But when I think of it, it'll come to it. I think it biogenesis or something like that. What's up? Oh, my bad. Yeah, and with that, Seven was over here talking. You know what I'm saying? I seen Seven's been real hesitant to speak on camera.
Look, man, I'm listening, man.
You know,
that's what I do. I gotta
bring
listen
him
to
on
what's going
in
on.
because you know, like me switching over to plant based. You know that he was one of the inspirations. It really was the inspiration. I was like, okay, this is the first black man that I see doing it and doing it well. It's not a struggle for him. You know what I'm saying? All that fasting and everything like that. So you know what I mean? Let me give y'all a formal introduction to his brother and who he really is. You know what I mean? Like. And that comes along with questioning authority because some people will just tell you, you know, take the pill, take the shot, do this or whatever.
Always
do that.
ask questions.
You
always ask questions, man.
But yeah, so like I said, this brother here, you know what I'm saying, has been a major inspiration in my life, just showing you what health can do. You know what I mean? Shreveport has its own Dr. Sabies out here. So.
Can I tell you about when I met Seven? So we were at what's that building? We always go where you shot your videos.
Which one? Mini-City?
Mini-City. We were at Mini-City, and it was some little celebration you were having, or we were either breaking out from the play, and we were eating, and I was in line getting food behind him, and I was like, Seven, like I was like, it's nice to meet you. So it's a bunch of vegans up in here. And he ain't say nothing. Like he was like yeah. I was like, yeah, I think I told you I had made some mushroom rice because it's a bunch of vegans up in here. I said something like that, and like he turned out to be vegan, and I was like, oh,
it's
okay.
always funny having them conversations. Like when people kind of try and step on it, it was like,
yeah. I didn't care. He was like, me too.
I'm one of those guys, so you know.
But you know, incremental changes. I'm glad I met you. Yeah, he introduced me to a holistic doctor.
Yeah, Seven, introduce yourself, man. You've been doing all the time.
Man, I'm Seven, man. I've been listening, man. I just been observing. You know, that's about it. You know, and listening to those conversations, my first question would be like, what is an expert? Like, how would we define that?
Because I wouldn't even say that you need the credentials anymore because even education is questionable.
But it is, to me, an expert is a person who, through research, through trial and error, over time, has gained, like this, they may have their own theories because they've tested them over time.
And I'm glad Seven brought that up. That was my initial, before knowing anything about the vaccine, that was my initial problem. Because once you start doing research on these companies like Pfizer and, you know, Moderna is relatively new. But if you just look at Pfizer, 10 years ago, Pfizer just got through paying people, what was it, $1 billion, like $3 billion because they lied on the numbers. Like this is the results. So when you can lie about what you pushing out there just to push out a medicine, then that calls in question your moral compass as a company. So why would you trust somebody with your cellular data, essentially? You know what I'm saying? Like black people have to realize how important cells are. I know you heard about them in school, but I mean, like you came from a cell.
These are things that keep you living, so you might want to verse yourself on what that means.
So you know, but you know, is that other episode gonna come out? Basically, but yeah, like I said in the last episode, you have to think of what a cell is. A cell that's going to reproduce until it becomes an organ, and then it's going to tissue.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm not a doctor.
You're not.
I am also not a doctor, but I love science.
Tissue, and then an organ, and then you know what I'm saying. But just reproduction, but I'm gonna stop putting my foot in my mouth. So
Yo,
It's okay.
even beyond like just the vaccine, man, like when it was like 2 weeks ago, and this is where I go back to like the expert thing. You know, us being like indoctrinated to look at certain people as experts. My child was like doing some type of homestead. I forgot what, like ELA or history or something. So, you know, I'm reading a book, passive listening to him in case I have to help him out. And his teacher, you know, is on the screen and she talking about like slavery or whatnot. And she says, I'm paraphrasing, she says, some slave masters, you know, were bad. But some slaves looked at their slave masters as benevolent. Some slave masters was benevolent. And immediately, like I said, you know, yo, that's bullshit, Khalid. You know what I'm saying? That's bullshit. And I sent it to Shango and I sent it to, you know, one of my older brothers, David, and try to get they
I would have flipped the table over.
Nah, you know.
in your own house?
What? Yeah.
Oh,
I gotta fix this.
it's the work from home. Look, work from home. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Work from
I'm
home.
not flipping that to mine.
But yeah,
I would have flipped it and
that,
told
you
them
know,
they
to-
were responsible.
Yeah,
You
to
made me
get their
emotionally
opinion.
upset.
Yeah, to get their opinions on it. But again, like, I bring my son up not to like, you know, just, you know, really to question authority.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The question, just because this person is in front of you, like, that was designed that way. This person, like, they come from Persia. They set people in front of us to make us think they the authorities. We shouldn't question them. They put us in classroom where we facing a type of person. Same thing in the church. Same thing in if you go to the courthouse. It's all designed that way. So we'll grow up and we see somebody in front of us, somebody on the TV screen. We won't question these people because we think that they are smarter than us. Man, I've literally seen family members, like best friends. They'll come to me, question me about, you know, certain health things that actually are helping me. I was told I was like pre-diabetic. When I went back last year, got blood work, was told that I was like, had the best blood work of somebody 30, 35 years old. So with that being said, like my family members that ask me stuff, but then they'll go to the doctor, man, they won't like,
Take heed.
they won't take, like they won't question them at all because like they some type of authority. So that's why I was like, yo, how do we define expert nowadays? Like,
Yeah,
For-
that, and I
for
would say
me-
we need to learn to ask questions. A lot of people, like you
how-
say, they can
how
tell
to
you,
divide
and
it.
how to ask
Yeah.
questions. Because a lot of times, even if you do, because I will tell y'all, like, me just being me, I'm in love with modern medicine. Okay, I'm a champion for modern medicine, but I also will say that not enough people. You have to understand who your doctors are. You have to know them as a person as well as a professional. You need to make sure that you do your due diligence. So just like you would research anyone in regards to a relationship, or you would vet someone in your family in regards to a business or anything like that, you need to do the same thing with your physicians and your doctors, because every doctor doesn't have the same motive. Every doctor doesn't practice medicine because they love it or that for the betterment of people. But you also need to understand that when you go in these medical offices, that you have options. It is not verbatim what they are telling you to do. So, and they are versed in giving you your options, but they give you what's most convenient for them and yourself. So you need to make sure you ask them, what other options do I have?
I think because look, the same thing happened to me. I just really changed my diet, and you know, they were telling me I was pre-diabetic, and they wanted me to go to this class because the next step would be to put me on medicine. And they were like, oh, because you would be this, we give you this one medicine, we'll give you this other medicine because we assume that you'll have this type of problem next. So it is a game. To me, it is let me set you up on this one thing so you could be on this next thing. And in 30 years, you'll be on dialysis to get it all out.
You got
Yeah,
a
and that's why I
customer
say you
for life.
really have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
So
really
So
have
you
to
really
figure
have
that
to
out.
know if your doctor
Yeah, because
has
you have
your best
doctors.
interests.
You have doctors pushing medicines because they get compensated on the back end. You have people. You have sales rep that work for pharmaceutical companies that literally come in and sell these drugs to these physicians and say, if you get so many
Man.
scripts on this, we'll get a commission. But I also get a commission for making sure that you receive these drugs. So you really have to. Excuse me. You really do have to do your due diligence. And I also will say, when you go to the doctor, stop being non-compliant. I got a problem with people who are non-compliant.
What do
you
you
cannot
mean?
you cannot complain about your health if your doctor is advising you. Let me tell you something. Just being in the medical field as a student and someone who is pursuing a degree in medicine, let me explain to you that it is so frustrating to work in a clinic for knowing that this physician's first goal is not to give you a medication. It's to get you to eat the correct things. So if you come in and you have high blood pressure, you have high cholesterol, we literally will give you a sheet. You are versed in what you need to stop eating, what type of meats that you need to stop consuming, what type of nuts you no longer need to have, your salt intake, literally things like that. You get blood work every time you come in, but because you are non-compliant, because you love peanuts and you want to eat shrimp and seafood, now you come in and your cholesterol and your blood pressure is through the roof. And the only way for me to correct this, because at this time it's going on 60 plus days that you are non-compliant, is to give you a medication. Because as a physician, if I don't step in, then I'm going to have to use my malpractice insurance.
You know what?
Because you've come to see me and now you're non-compliant.
Just at my current
But it's not every
employer.
doctor.
At my current employer, you know, I'm just sitting down and I'm listening to the conversation that the ladies having, right? And one of the girls just said, "My memory bad." You know what I'm saying? And I just popped into, you know, there's certain things that you can eat
Blueberries.
that help your memory, right?
If somebody
But
else say
then,
blueberries,
you know-
Let me
and I
tell
hate
you,
blueberries.
blueberries,
I
listen.
literally
But
hate
I mean, just to get back
They
to my
do.
point.
They
Get
But
back
go
to my
ahead.
point.
You were talking about the ladies.
Anyway, to get back to my point, so when I say that, like, there's certain things that you can do to help with brain health, and then when I started telling her, running down the list of foods that she can eat, I ain't eating that, I don't like this stuff.
See,
So
non-compliant.
then you don't want help at that point. Like, you literally just told me you don't want any help, so what else am I to do? And that goes back to it. Now people is just trust science. They got a pill for that. I'm good. But then when you done lost your arm and lost your leg because, you know, you got diabetes and you wasn't eating the right stuff.
And don't fight the corners either, man. If your family member passes and they've been non-compliant, that's what's going on the paper. Non-compliance. 35, you had a heart attack, but you didn't want to take your medicine. You didn't want to follow your diet. Non-compliant. Don't come to me with no conspiracy theories. This is what happened.
Because I came in here and yelled at him the other day.
No, we get all the hospital notes, all
Well,
the
this
hospital
is
notes
it.
and all that.
And
Non-compliant.
documented.
All right.
Well, this is the thing. So you have both sides because you don't know if every doctor is intentionally trying to make you well, like for the long haul, get you off medicine. Some of them are trying to get you on medicines. So, like you say, you have to do your research, and then I don't like blueberries. I don't know what to tell y'all.
That's the thing.
I-
Like, you
but
might
I do
not
want
like
to.
something.
But I do want to remember where I put my keys.
Your
really
taste
have.
buds-
Not for-
your
This
taste
is the
buds
thing.
shouldn't determine your life. Essentially,
Man.
your taste buds, and like we were saying earlier, your taste buds will adapt.
Seven done already told me.
Okay, yeah,
about
I'm gonna
this. She
disagree
talking
with y'all
about
on
you
that.
need to
I
eat
love
to
food,
live.
and I
It's
want
not
that.
about anything that
Okay,
they
well, it's
get.
making
What?
those things that are good for you more
I'm a
palatable.
foodie. I will talk to you about textures, tastes, colors, smells. Okay, I'm a huge foodie. Please don't even ask me about banana pudding because I probably put a thesis together for 2 days. No, my taste buds matter. No, if it doesn't taste good, I don't want it. Can you make it taste good?
But you can-
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, that's the
But
thing.
there's
That's what I'm
so
telling
many.
her.
There are so many things that are good for you. When you restricting things out of your diet, you get to
You
say,
start
I
craving.
still get to eat these things. Like when I stopped eating sugar, like I still got to have meat. I still got to have fruits that had, fruit sugar in it, but I'm just not eating processed sugar. So like whenever you're restricting yourself, to me, you got to think about all the things you can. Don't think of it as in I can't.
say.
It's more like now I got room to eat this.
And I tell people all the time, more so other than meeting 7, me going plant-based, it wasn't for me, it no longer became a choice. Because I started feeling, like I was saying earlier, that heart health, I started feeling my heart, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not shaking back like I used to. So with that, I was like, okay, so now either I'm going to make the decision of keep following my taste buds, or I'm gonna do something else. And people may look at me and like, well, he's still a bigger dude, whatever, whoop-de-whoop. Yeah, just because you go
Plant-based and
does
thick.
not mean that you following the correct diet, to which I'm working on that now. I still like bread. I'm a bread guy.
You like
know?
Oprah? I love
And your
bread.
taste buds change.
I love bread.
Well, yeah, that's
Your
why.
taste
That's why I
buds
told
change
her.
dramatically, man.
Yeah.
When you go without a thing, they change dramatically. 'Cause
I agree.
I didn't have intentions on going plant based. I was just getting into like more like things that I studied when I was younger, like fasting and stuff. And the more I fast and go back to start eating stuff, my body would reject it.
Yeah, I was thinking that most of the people I know that got off beef and pork, if they were to have some pork right now, my friend
Yeah, they
got
would get
so
sick.
Man, I
sick.
smell it, I get nauseated.
Oh,
it smell
my
like a
goodness.
dead body. Like to me.
Oh man, that's
Not a
that's
dead
like
body. I
cheese.
love
Man,
bacon
it
now.
smell-
Wait.
That's cheese.
Pepperoni.
When you smelling cheese, you know, like I say,
Cheese?
it's because it's mold. So once you actually start smelling
I
what
reject
it
that.
is, it's like, oh
My body
God.
reject that. Mayo.
Oh, I don't like
We went to
mayo.
walk on
There are
one
certain
time.
Eggs and
foods.
oil.
I
It's
keep
just
telling y'all,
eggs.
there are
Man, we
certain
went to
foods
walk
I
on one
just
time. They
won't
got
eat.
me.
Mayonnaise is fat.
As soon
and
as I
it's
tasted, my nose
disgusting.
started running.
Yeah, but
No.
that's the thing. Like once you start seeing like
No.
what some of these foods really are,
I've been like that my
like
whole
what you
life.
consuming,
Yeah.
and just because Big Mama made it, don't mean
But I just
I
feel
like-
like too. I feel like there's an excuse when it comes to. I feel like there's always an excuse when it's a requirement to take care of yourself. I'm currently going through that with my grandmother. Like she was this vivacious, in your face type of person. Personality is huge, like huge. She's basically like. She's like Madid with a 9 in her pocket, okay? Like she's really like in your face. She's gonna say what she needs to say. I have to prep people if they're gonna meet my family because I'm like they're gonna love on you, but they're gonna if you don't have tough skin, because they're the type of people that will say what they need to say, and you will look at them like, did she just say that to me? Like my sister will walk in my grandmother's house and she'll say, oh, you gained a little weight, you need to get that off of you. And it's like, hey, how you doing today? And then she gonna turn around and laugh and start talking about something else, and you can stand in a corner and cry about it all day.
this goes back to what I was
But we're
saying.
gonna move on.
This goes back to what I was saying about food. Sometimes the truth is a bitter dose.
It does, which was leading me to my point that you can't, just because it takes a little bit more effort than you going through a drive-through.
It's
Because
discipline.
I feel like if it's the same conversation, and I'm just applying this to something that I will never eat. I don't want it. It's nasty. Why do you cook it? Because it smells like that. I would never eat chitterlings ever, ever. Take my black card, do what you need to do, shred it up, throw it down the street, blow it up, send it to space, whatever. It is disgusting. But if people can have those conversations with me, that once you get past the taste,
No.
or once you get past the smell, it's pretty good.
There's nothing for me to get past.
I'm like,
I
do you know that
refuse.
that is
Once I
a
smell crap.
that's a survival that's a survival tactic for your smell and taste, which is why it's an issue in regards to people who have had COVID and they lose their taste and they lose their smell, because whatever smells bad, you're not supposed to consume it. Like that is something where that is literally it literally launches like the fight or flight syndrome in your body.
Would
Like
you argue that
that's
with?
not
Would you
good.
argue that with meat?
no.
With people who say like they actually love meat?
Oh, I love meat. We can talk about that, but I know when meat goes bad as well. I don't mind the smell, but I also know that I miss my meat with salt and things like that.
Okay.
If it's been out too long, I know not to consume it. Yeah, I'm not one of those people. It's going in the trash. If it don't smell right, and I mean, excuse me, I don't like to say that, but you know, I'm black. I have large nostrils. No, I can smell it from 10 feet away. Don't want it. And I vet my food as well. So I want to look at the veins. I want to look at the fat that's in that meat. Also, I will tell y'all that grocery shopping is a skill that has
It
gotten
really is,
lost
yeah.
amongst people. There are so many people who do not know how to grocery shop. You don't know how to look at produce. You don't know how to look at fruit. You don't know how to look at meats. You're literally just picking these things up and looking at them in your basket. Like you should be looking for the best thing that has to offer.
Let
If
me
you can't
tell
find
you,
it there, go to
picking-
another store.
I think, I think it just comes from growing up. I hadn't ran into a good peach in probably like 7 years, like here.
And I will
To
not
me,
buy it.
but like learning how to pick a watermelon, like that is something to me that takes it takes time, but that's something from going to the grocery store with other people who eat that food,
Well,
and it's just
Did we have that conversation last episode, basically about GMO and
no.
But that, I mean, you know,
Yeah, we did. We talked
Yeah,
because we talked
because-
about the vitamin content.
yeah, and it's like people are wondering why people don't want to eat vegetables because the foods don't taste the same. It don't taste the same because it doesn't have the natural sweetness because it's not coming from a real seed. You know what I'm saying? If this plant's not going to reproduce, that's a problem.
I had a delicious dish. I Part of it was genetically modified because this is like a cross between a parsnip and a sweet potato, but they made them into nachos, and then they had something about an heirloom tomato just really gets me. But they have fresh shaved jalapenos and heirloom tomatoes on it. So the thing about it is when you eat something that has a seed, it has that richer taste. It has that. To me, it reminds me. My uncle always had a garden. It's like it reminds me of food out of the garden, and that's like you have to adjust your taste buds. It has to be a thing of discipline. It has to be an extra step of going to a farmer versus going to the grocery store all the time, or even using a mobile butcher if you're gonna eat meat. No offense.
Well, no.
That's what I'm saying.
And like I said, I think I said this last episode. That's the reason why that people back in the day could have these outlandish diets, as people would say.
Yeah.
Oh, you know,
Because they were growing
eat
their
bacon
food.
I eat 10 slabs of bacon all day. Well, as well, you were eating real fruits and vegetables, like coming straight
But
from
as
your
well,
garden.
they were also, because
And
my
working, like,
family's
outside.
country, okay? Like,
And working
my
outside
family's from
and working
Ringo,
it up.
so we farms, all that. They were also raising their own, like you were raising
Yeah.
your own meat. Like,
Right.
it wasn't just you were going to somebody, like, TMI, but like my mom, like if we had to move back to the country, we would be okay. My mom and my dad, like, that's how they grew up. They grew up in the morning getting a rooster out of the cage, okay, to get eggs, like making sure they out of the hen, so the hen is out, not the rooster is out of the cage, so that the hens can lay the eggs. Like, okay, if they need to kill a chicken, grab it by its neck, put it on. Okay, yeah, we're super country. So, like, these people know. But I don't know, I missed that. Because that's what I was going to say. Like, I was raised, even though once they moved to the city, there was a huge garden. Like,
Yeah.
if I could describe the land, because you can still see the land, because my grandmother currently lives in her parents' old house, but that land is huge. It used to be a garden back there, like, and then they would fish. It's just like those little skills that you don't have, and I think a lot of times when people see me, they don't know that I'm capable of those things. So when I have conversations with them, they're always looking at me like, you know how to skin and clean out fish, catfish. Like, do you know how to eat? You don't know how
But
to grow
that's-
cucumbers and
Think-
tomatoes?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was thinking about this as everybody was speaking because we've talked about a couple of different things about how culturally we need to make our health the priority because now we have options. We can learn to grow our own food because that's gonna be the difference in us making it. You have a bunch of people who are not caring about your health.
And they don't
Who
have
don't give a
sustainability.
dog.
If
And
they
they
shut
don't.
down everything tomorrow, you should be able to still live.
And that's what I say all the time. You know,
Let's not talk about that.
People will
Somebody-
say that about me being plant based. They'll say, "Well, if you gotta eat meat, you know what I'm saying? What are they?" I was like, "That's a luxury that I have. If I have to go out into the wild and I gotta shoot a deer or something to make it work, I'm gonna do what I gotta do to survive. It's a luxury that I have right now." But at the same time, it goes back to what Candace was saying, and I think all of us being from the South, if your family is an immediate country, you know somebody that is.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So with that, we do have to get back to working the land. We have to get back to these certain things because at the end of the day, it's survival. So with everything that you see going on in the media right now, if there is a huge economic collapse and things of that nature, and then they decide they want to jump bananas up to $20,
That's yeah.
you need to know, okay, well, shit, how I'm going to survive at the end of the day,
I'm thinking about making my own little box garden. I saw, just like my Trinity, my garlic, my onion, my bell pepper, and all of them.
good
Don't tell
idea.
me not to eat garlic or something like that, because I'm making my own garlic. I'm planting it
here's the
and
thing,
my green onion and my
people,
celery.
You said don't eat garlic stuff. People will go off the Dr. Savvy diet, but you kind of have to go off of what's available to you as well.
Yeah, go off what's
You
available and also go off what's best for you. Just because
Yeah,
someone
what's
says
best for
these
you.
are the best things, I always tell people, I think the most important things that are missing in regards to your health, and I will tell this to anyone, it doesn't matter what your diet is to get your blood work done, because you can be doing all those things, and because you are who you are and your genetic makeup makeup is what it is. Those things aren't really beneficial to you. So get your blood work, understand what vitamins you need, understand what's deficient in your body, understand how it works, and proceed from there. Because sometimes those diets that are listed aren't always best for you. Like, you might want to go alkaline, but your body can't handle that type of change. So
y'all, I know this is gonna seem random, but something that brings back what Seven was talking about with his kid and our food conversation. So my dad is older, stuck in his ways, and I try and give him a list. Like, do not eat these foods. That is why you, like, if you have kidney problems and you think you can have one Diet Coke a day because you can have 50 ounces of liquid and you choose it, you can't. So that's what he's going through. Not picking the right drinks and not drinking enough water. So I was cooking for him. And I was joking. I was like, Daddy, you got me in here slaving over in the kitchen. Just joking, you know. But my family is probably about 3 generations removed from slavery. My grandfather and my dad were sharecroppers. It's like not that far. And so when we joke about it, like, my dad doesn't even want me joking about slavery.
Yeah, their whole demeanor will change.
Yeah,
my grandmother
you
was
don't
like
even
a
know
part
what
of
that's
that
like.
black class, the first class that desegregated birds. So like,
and
Lord Jesus, yeah, it is.
To know,
it's not a game. Yeah, like.
Yeah, and to know, to even say something as small, you have firsthand witnesses, and to me that counts as an expert. My dad was firsthand witness picking cotton, not being allowed to go to school except when it rained because you couldn't be out in the fields, oppression, sometimes being forced to sharecrop. Like, oh, you couldn't just decide that this year you're not gonna sharecrop or you're not gonna contribute because that was your life or your life literally. And so to me, an expert like my father is a person who has firsthand experience or who has years doing something over and over and over again. And we wouldn't joke. We wouldn't take the word slavery so lightly. We wouldn't take vaccines and immunology so lightly. Like, if we, in our lifetimes, had experienced what people did when polio was around, like the people who experienced the polio vaccine and polio is no longer in the world, was no longer in the world, we'd be a little more apt. We're questioning because we're in this generation. We hadn't experienced it. So that's my thing. Not that you shouldn't question it, but for somebody who's lived through polio, like, oh yeah, a vaccine shook me up.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm not 100% anti-vaccine, even though I feel like some of the studies still need to be more thoroughly studied.
Not enough time?
Yeah, that's my thing about this one. You don't have 10 years of I don't care how much money these people have put behind this. You don't have 5 to 10 years of research. So what's going to happen is, okay, everybody's saying, I got the shot, I feel fine. The thing is, they're not thinking about it. Cancer can take a little while to develop. Okay, this can take years. So then, or other malicious diseases. So with that, all right, that happens. And it comes to find out that you got this cancer or this other ailment from this vaccine on down the line. Then what?
That's very sorry to bother you. You seen that movie? First of all, what's his name? Lakeith Stanfield with his fine self.
Oh, that movie was weird.
It was very weird, but when you realize it's about the prison industrial complex, you know what I'm saying? And the people get the shot and they turn into horses. but his was delayed. Like, he was like one of the first people, but nothing happened to him for a couple of days. But then he ended up turning into a horse, like everybody else.
I say, it's not a. That's why I say I don't have a problem with science. You know that I'm a supporter of science. But if you being right and exact, and as black people, we got to get back in the lab.
Quality. So mine is first-hand experience. Yours is time. So like if we were building an expert, yours would be time. Yours would more like be intention. Like if they were intentionally trying to heal.
Yeah, I want to know.
So if we built an expert to answer your question, sir.
I feel like for whatever you're doing, your morality has to line up. Don't talk to me about what your pockets are doing. Don't talk to me about how it makes you feel. Talk to me about why you're doing it and who you plan on benefiting. Because if I can have that conversation with you, then I can have answers. Outside of that, I feel like you can know all you want to know based on your opinion. But if you don't know why you're doing it and who you're servicing for that, then at that point you're blind and deaf, in the words of my grandmother.
And really, this is how this whole conversation came up for me. You know, I'm on Facebook, like I say, and
To your detriment.
You're
really is,
detriment.
but, you know, if I wasn't an artist, I probably wouldn't be on there. But
I'm sliding off.
with that, I'm on Facebook and I see one of my pharmacist friends. She shares a meme, and you know, and it's like debunking what the vaccine does or doesn't do. You know, so I come in, you know, I'm asking her certain things and whatnot. But basically, we saw an article basically saying the Louisiana Blood Bank, or basically the guy that runs the blood bank, is say you need to donate your plasma now
Before you get the vaccine.
Because
the vaccine kills your natural antibodies.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I give her that article, and she, to I guess
Counteract.
her counteract was she started sending me his credentials. I was like, you know, and he went into management, you know, health management, and instead of, but my thing was,
Who cares?
he runs the blood bank, so he is their front line, seeing what's going on.
And
so you can't negate his experience because you feel like he didn't have the proper schooling. Because I could do the same thing with you, because you're taught how to create medicine. You're not giving any type of diagnosis. So with that's why I said your friends that you were seeing that are nurses, and no disrespect to the nurses, I'm in school to be a respiratory therapist myself, so I'm not going against the medical field or anyone in it, but my thing is a lot of these people are just going off of what they see in the news. There's no any proper research being done by them, and they might not generally be interested. It's just trust the scientists, science.
But the one thing that we know for sure in science, in history, that's worked with Ebola, was worked with so many different diseases, is convalescent plasma. You can give a person, somebody who survived Ebola. That's what happened when Ebola came over here, like Obama era stuff. But one of the things about expertise, how I think everybody at this table has probably taken a Myers-Briggs type indicator. Oh, you got your ENTJ, your ENFP.
We're not going to talk about what I am.
Right? You know, you get those 4 letters and you basically decide how you work, how you live. Oh, I'm just an introvert, I'm an expert, and you love to hear, you know, you love to agree with what they came up with. But Myers-Briggs were not doctors, they were not psychologists. They were 2 rich ladies, a mother and a daughter, who were rich enough to have psychologists come over their house to talk about Jung's archetypes, to talk about this and that, and through that they were able to develop an assessment. Now the assessment is somewhat valid, and it's
supported by the supported by
and
the
it's
community
definitely
as
have
well.
its own efficacy in its in its applications to work and to life and your motivation.
I don't
But
think
at
it should
the
be an
same
end-all,
time,
be-all
they
either.
weren't doctors, they weren't psychologists,
But
and they were
had the
able to come up.
resources.
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
Because I remember like we were doing like training for one of. I've had plenty of jobs.
They actually do that to applicants.
you
I was
better
about to
work.
say, if y'all don't know what they're doing, they actually do that.
they'll
to
put
you.
it on your application, and during the training, I brought up, oh, that's a personality test or whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
don't ever tell them that. You know, because it was a customer service job. It's like, don't ever tell them what they taking, because essentially that's an assessment of where they will place you. They feel like, okay, you're this type of personality, so we'll put you here. We'll put you here. I mean, so you know, it's some other things that I saw on that application too that registered with me.
And stop pulling my credit. I'm tired of y'all. Stop.
For jobs, but if
Especially like for me, like I'm sorry to cut you off, but for me, like I got my credit pool. Like I was probably a sophomore in college, and I'm sitting, I was like, dog, I don't have.
What do you want from
Like
me?
I ain't got it right now. You know what I'm saying? Like
I
so,
just need to make sure you won't steal from me as an employer.
I feel like, but you
If
got a
I
criminal
don't
background
have-
check for that. What's that have to do
Yeah,
with my credit?
Or
history?
you won't be compromised that I don't have a
I don't
person
feel like credit is gonna
outside.
show you that. Like there's certain circumstances. Like I say, like for me to you pull my credit, and I'm a sophomore in college, so I don't have really any work experience or any credit to begin with. Like
I'm
it
just
denies
saying,
people that
I don't
didn't even get the
really-
opportunity.
I don't
to
have
get
anything
credit.
to hide on my
Or
credit.
You say that. Okay, what if my family put me on that credit and my credit score is through the roof, but
You're a
I
thief.
just might be more
You're
of a
a terrible
compromiser. I'm a
person.
yeah.
I was gonna say, like, for me, working in a government associated job, that's usually the reasons, financially and with what I do, they love to get a person who has that connection to the government and offer them, oh, if you always use me, I'll give you a little
I just
something on the back end. Yeah, I mean, like, it's so easy to be morally compromised. And if you're suffering with a problem like credit or money or anything like that, you can be
could compromise the
susceptible.
government.
I
That's
just
fine, but stop putting an inquiry on my credit. Like, I'm trying to protect my credit score. I don't really care about you as an employer because I can't write to them and say, hey, my employer decided to pull my credit and I didn't really give them permission, because then if they contact the employer, it's going to be listed on like what the little papers or whatever. Like, no, they actually consented to this. Stop. Stop.
Well, they kind of wanted me. I don't know what you said that made me think of this. But
What?
They kind of
Go
wanted
ahead.
to bring it
Because too
back
many
to
inquiries
science.
affect your
It's
credit.
a podcast. Talk
wanted-
about what
I
you
kind of
want.
wanted to bring it back because it's like, okay, so we're dealing with science. Then who are they testing in these trials? Are these specifically
Volunteers.
for black people?
No, they tested on
I-
Elmnos and said, let's go.
Yeah,
It works.
but I'm just saying, like
Now people
it's-
dropping like
it's
flies.
because we're genetically different as far as different races.
That did make me very suspicious when they kept saying that black people need to take it
Y'all
first.
take it first.
Like,
We get
if you
everything
had
last.
eased it on
Trickle
me-
down
I
economics. We
wouldn't
get everything last. Food stamps.
But
Oh,
y'all,
but
y'all
housing
need to take
checks.
it. Don't worry about
Everything.
Tuskegee. Don't worry about y'all
I was
testing
like,
on
that
people
was-
in these
that
prisons.
wasn't
and
even
things
on
We
like
have
that.
this
mind.
specially
It was
formulated
just-
for you. Line up.
It was just like,
We need
why?
trust
why?
us.
Hey, book drop. Book drop is one book I suggest everybody read. Propaganda.
Yeah.
Propaganda by Eric Burnett.
I started reading another.
Just read that book and you'll understand like the trick of the human mind, like to act like you keeping somebody from something.
Yeah.
It's less accessible to them. They'll fight for it, even if you want to give it to them anyway.
Yep. Yeah.
Right, like
That-
in regards to the COVID vaccines, just if anyone needs a loophole, if you feel as though you need to get it, because I do understand why some people want it. I do understand for those people who have actually survived COVID. Yes, I'm talking about those drastic cases where I feel like you make the best decision for yourself. Okay, so if you were on a respirator and one of your family members died because you all had it at the same time and you were on a respirator and you in a hospital and you feel like I suffered from that, I survived that, but I don't want to go through it again, that's why I'm taking the vaccine. I'm not going to argue with you about that because you were on your deathbed at that point. And if that's how you're justifying it in your head, okay, I don't have a problem with that. You know that it is your decision, it is your life, okay. And I can't be mad at you for that because like she said, if you went through something like that, you experienced it, sometimes that's enough. Like, I don't ever want to go through that again. I almost died. My family members have died. Like, okay, I want to do that. But what I will say is, it is so crazy just how they are distributing it at this point. Like, certain age groups have to get it first because they're considered high risk. So the reality is, though, these, unfortunately, which is weird as well, they're not viable after they come out of the medical freezer. So they only have a certain amount of time that they have to distribute these vaccines or they no longer work. That's unheard of as well. That vaccine should be viable whether it's cold or it's hot.
With her saying that,
But-
she's just saying that they don't have any preservative.
But I was also going to say, because I was bringing up his point of you feel as though you have to fight for it, because you have long lines of people trying to get these vaccines. The reality is, because it is only viable for a certain amount of time, if you feel as though it is a life and death situation for you to get the COVID vaccine, call the sites that are giving the vaccine, because even though they are supposed to be issued to elderly people at a certain time stamp around 12 or 1 o'clock, if once they feel as though we have all these vaccines, we have all these vaccines, maybe like 500, 600 vials, they're going to lose all of those. So at that point, they'll take anybody. So if you feel as though it is necessary, call those testing sites around 12 or 1 to see how many they have available in the freezer and what time you can come to get it. Because my thing is, you do not have to wait if you feel as though for you, it is a life and death situation. But that's just my FYI.
You just want to go.
I mean, they do, but I'm saying so they won't get wasted, and so you're not waiting 6 months down the line to get vaccinated if you want to. That option's still available. But
I was just waiting because
just
I'm
out
just
there.
trying to see if anybody's going to turn into a horse. Literally,
I
sorry.
mean,
They got people
sorry
dying.
to bother you.
they have a
It's
lot
like
of nurses,
one of them-
and they have nurses.
People are gonna
and
die. I'm not really.
People are gonna die with COVID. Like, people
People
are
are gonna die
in
with.
life.
Yeah,
It's life.
they
Man,
are.
COVID,
I already
COVID
told
is
y'all.
dangerous, man. It's so
It's-
dangerous.
it
It
is.
literally,
We're not.
Yeah.
it literally killed the flu.
It did. Let me tell you, yo.
It's so dangerous it killed the flu.
Yeah. People stay
I
and
am
Watch
watch
for the
the.
Popeyes chicken sandwich. That wasn't too necessarily
Yo.
healthy either.
Because it is so insane. It is insane that COVID is soaring, but the flu is basically zero. And around this time of year, it has shot through the roof a few times. It has killed multiple. It does not exist
You know
at
how
this
people
time.
tried to justify that though? They was like, well, more people getting vaccinated and stuff.
No,
so they ain't getting
it's
the flu.
because
What?
you're
washing.
actually taking the proper precautions.
You're actually washing your hands now.
And you're wearing a mask.
restaurant?
And when you
I
look
think
at when someone sneezes in a store, it is World War III. Please don't sneeze or cough in the store, because everybody's gonna stop what they're doing and they're gonna do it.
We'll
Here's the thing,
leave.
like the flu can
Well,
develop
look
if
at
you
you.
don't have the proper diet. And it can develop. You know what I'm saying? Like just
Some
you hanging
people
out
have
and
gotten
you don't get
COVID
a
in
illness.
I have a question.
People have gotten
I
COVID in
have a question.
isolation.
Yeah.
Do anybody think this political at all?
The
Yes.
Everything is
Yeah.
political.
the
Everything's political.
rollout, the
There are
having
people
it.
profiting off of this right now. So
Yeah.
the fact that there's a profit, there's a market for this, is political.
Anytime someone gives you something free, you should be like skeptical at least.
For me,
And then in
it's
China, they doing that. Have you seen that?
no. What?
Like for testing, they
oh,
swab.
but
Oh, they're
swabs.
doing anal
What is that?
swabs.
Like what's going
Why?
on? But now it's like standard for you to travel in China. You gotta get that. Like
Not the
why-
butt swab.
You're not
Can't
swabbing.
get the throat
Nah.
swab.
You can't take
Ah.
the nose. So for me to leave,
I guess they
But
figure.
China
I don't understand.
actually does. Like I've watched a little clip of a documentary. They actually do have a technocracy, where for certain people who like on their cell phone, like this guy basically has been living in these same 5 blocks because if he crosses, he gets like stopped by a cop because of some information that he leaked. Like they really have that where they can track
that
people.
now.
We do have it, but we're not.
Man.
I don't personally at this particular point.
You're not.
listen,
And
you know,
it only works in
it-
regards to the government's interest, though. Like if they're not interested
don't
in you
feel-
as a
yeah.
person, you get to live your best life. Honestly.
here's my thing.
I am not a threat.
Yeah, once you become one though, like you know what I'm saying, like even people like everyday people like
If
us
you know
feel
the
like
type of
we have to
access
watch
the
what we
government
have
had
to
to
say.
your life,
Yeah.
you'd be very afraid
No,
to live.
the government has your whole life.
Your whole life.
Your whole life,
phone.
all your pictures,
Everything.
any like little minute details. Like, why would they keep up?
They can find
They
you at
got
a
it.
red light if they want to. Do not play with these people.
So
Do you-
all
do you
of
know that's why I
facial
don't-
recognition and stuff like that?
Do you know all those challenges on Facebook? That is why I do not
But y'all have to
participate. Like
understand, in
then
regards
and
to-
now.
The silhouette challenge,
What
y'all,
happened?
please stop doing it.
What is the
please.
silhouette
Man,
challenge?
listen. Do
Please.
y'all
What's
know like
Please
Facebook run like
stop.
psychological experiments?
Yes,
on
they're
the users?
actually
yeah.
under.
And they don't even report it.
I'll be
No,
quiet.
They don't let none of the
No, 'cause
users
that would
know.
make me a
if you
person
don't talk
They
about
run
psychological
experiments.
experiments, Hell, think about some of the documentaries that we watched. What was that one that we were watching about? They was just taking the orphans and
Oh, that was
putting them
crazy.
Dog, and the
That was
government
crazy.
pays for
Three
these
strangers.
experiences. 3 strangers.
Yes, and they were all ended up being they all ended up
Separating
being
twins
triplets,
and
then
yeah.
they realized that they did this to multiple kids. They put and then they realized that their biological parents all had psychological issues, and they're currently fighting right now to get those records unsealed because the Library of Congress will not provide them with their own medical information.
But it's like
But that's-
that,
that's
and then you had the guy that was selling babies out the back door. You got, and the government clears these type of things. So everybody that's just like trust the government is not. Look,
Why
Man,
wouldn't
look,
you trust the
After
government?
after Nazi Germany,
You better not ever.
after Nazi Germany, those people would not put on trial.
Mm.
All those scientists and
There's a
Well, about it.
most
What-
of them,
what's the
most of
hood
them was
called?
hired by the United
United
What's
States
the
States
hood
government.
called here in the United States? The
The
project.
project.
So you got to think what was going on then. Well, and we might be talking too much on it.
Delaware Project.
We
But-
might be talking too much, but you know what I'm saying? Like, but for real though, like you got to think. You know, the Nazis had the Gestapo, the secret police and stuff like that. What we got? You know what I mean? Like,
You know, there's this show. I learned that very same thing. I was watching this TV show on Amazon Prime. It's called Hunters. And so in Hunters, it's a comedy about Jewish people getting together as a collective and killing off Nazis that came to America after the war. But what they do, even though it's just a comedy and it's a good lesson in comeuppance, they use real people's names. Like, this general was he came over here, he changed his name to what. So you're getting facts, but you're so into the action of them actually sneaking and getting revenge because of what they went through, you're not paying attention because you sit there and laugh, but it's really... They came here, was hired by the United States government, and ran some of the same
They
genetic
did.
type of experiments and things like that to try and almost recreate what they were doing in Germany. And you're like, dang, they almost got away with it again. And the government paid them a lot. Like, this man, one of the guys, he had like a mansion and all, but the show is good. It was called Hunters, and I think Al Pacino was in it. And it's a really good show, but you get to learn on the backside as well.
Gotcha.
And to your point about anybody giving you anything away for free, you got to think about what it costs. Like what they say with Facebook,
Man,
it's
get so
free
much shit for
because
Facebook,
you're
man.
you're the product. You are the product.
It is in the best words I could say, it is a mass manipulation experiment.
I slide off.
I notice it all the time though. Like, I don't know. I just be watching certain little, I guess, patterns. You know what I mean? Like last year, I noticed everybody was going to Vegas. I was like, why is everybody going to Vegas? You know
Because
what I'm
they
saying?
saw one person go, the next person wants to go.
Yeah, but it's
the
like,
next
all right,
person
what
wants
was the
to go.
trigger for that? You know
Like,
what I'm saying?
I'm
Like,
mad because this year everybody wanted to go to Aspen. You know how long I've been wanting to go to Aspen? And now y'all decided
I
to
know
go
a
to
lot
Aspen
of
this
people
year.
that went to Aspen
What?
this year.
Yeah.
I
I
got
do.
one
I
goal.
have been fighting for
but-
my family to go to Aspen as black people since about 2008.
I'm really thinking about trying to go to the Hamptons. Like I'm not trying to mass travel right now because
Yeah,
I don't
in
want to
general.
catch it. I'm sorry, I still don't want to catch it. But I'm saying,
Stay hydrated.
they
Come on,
they,
bruh.
they do. I think so because you were just being listened to and things like that. And what the true thing to do is be sure you have your own mind when you know that people use your they manipulate your behavior for you to be able to spend dollars for
sale,
somebody
literally.
for something.
Go on Google and look at shoes and now I'm on
here's the
Instagram
thing.
and here's the ad for
Like,
Nordstrom's.
for me, I mean, and that's
Just
kind
know,
of
have your mind, have your own
ancient
mind.
science like that. That's kind of already known. You know what I mean? Like even with in New York, it came up with 5% nation, right?
Yeah.
So they already know that only 5% of y'all gonna think. Even your job is
they
going to
already
tell
know
you.
that.
Only
Yeah.
one of you, two of y'all really gonna be making the sales. Everybody else just here to fill up space, and they'll tell you that. You know what I'm saying? So are you going to be the person, and you know what I'm saying, to motivate you to go out there and do the
No,
work?
I just want to work. I'm not.
Look, fam. And don't be that guy. Look, dude. Now, one thing, be good at your job. Please, be good at your job
Don't
because you
overdo your
don't.
job.
But yeah, don't be that
Several
guy ready to
plots
die
from
for
Sorry
it
to
because at
Bother
the
You
end of the day,
yet again.
you're replaceable.
Listen,
another plot from Sorry to
I
Bother You.
tried
I just
to
wanted
watch
to
it.
bring
I
that
tried,
up.
and then it just got too weird. I was like, I'm not watching this because what is?
I'll watch them. I
It's-
like indie movies. I love weird, but that
The-
was
Oh, while we're
Hey,
talking about
just
movies,
go
did
back.
y'all
Oh,
see
yeah.
Tenet?
Yeah. Has
What
anybody
movie?
seen Tenet?
Not yet.
Yeah.
I'm
that-
screaming
Because-
I heard it.
because all you
Because you
need
have
Like
to
it's a
pay
sci-fi,
for it,
right?
don't
get
you?
your Bluetooth
Yeah.
speaker. Okay, get your Bluetooth
You
speaker
gotta-
because
you
you
gotta
can't hear
read.
anything. Hope you have a sound bar or a Bluetooth speaker. Because if you don't, you're not gonna be able to hear it. But even though he said he did it intentionally, excuse me, sir, pay the people for sound.
Cause they gave you
The
a
people that
limitless
hold
Pay
the-
the people. Okay, because I'm tired.
But
Your movie should
Tenet,
sound
you know,
like
and
that.
I'm gonna let her further explain it. But just off face value,
Don't let me explain.
just off of face value, it's a Black James Bond movie. You know, you getting it, but and you might get a little
Featuring
lost.
young Denzel. I mean, Isaiah Washington.
No, it's Denzel's son, so it is young.
I
Denzel.
know. That's what
You
I was
know, but
saying.
we-
I was saying young Denzel.
You said Isaiah Washington. I got confused. I thought his name was David.
Isn't his name
It's
Isaiah?
John David. It's
John David. Oh, look! Don't start me to lie. I
Oh, that's
didn't.
why I was confused. I know Isaiah
Look,
Washington.
I didn't Google it. Understand? This is my regular brain. This is
I'm
I
gonna let
know
her
him.
further explain it.
I'm a fan because I know
But
him from
young-
Ballers, and I loved Ballers.
Black Klansman.
but
was
just
my
to-
favorite.
just to-
I missed that. Movie, but
I'll
I
let
did
her
love
further
Ballers.
explain the movie. But the thing was, for me about the movie,
The
like
culture was
what made me start thinking was like, damn, what type of technology is really out here?
Oh, I was gonna say
You know?
that we're behind. Just FYI, the government is
Oh,
like
yeah.
20 years ahead of us. Y'all.
I mean, just
so
the TV
it's
alone.
all type of stuff.
I think the TV, they at least waited 11 years after Philo had invented it before they presented it at the World Fair. So just that alone, it's like, yeah, because the TV I think was invented in 1919.
yeah, they probably got all types
Yeah.
of stuff going on right
So-
now.
I've tried to Google who invented touchscreen. Y'all realize how much we use
I'm gonna tell
everything
you, I'm gonna tell you
touchscreen,
a
and
movie to
there's
watch
nothing.
though. Back to the Future. Watch Back to the Future. They had the flat screen TVs, the cell phones, and all of that. And then all of a sudden we get this technology. But yeah, like I say, but I'll let you further explain what Tenet is.
I don't. So this is
Are we
basis in
gonna
regards to
spoil
my
it,
own
like, 'cause
opinion.
I didn't watch
No,
it?
I'm not
Okay.
gonna do a spoiler alert, but I'm going to
Okay.
tell you to do your homework because in order for you to understand Tenet, you're going to need to understand quantum physics. You're going to need to understand introspection. You're going to need to understand inversion, and that's in regards to science. That's in regards to physics, and I would also say it's in regards to chemistry. Do the homework. Yes, you also need to look at entropy in regards to a system. So if you look at entropy in regards to quantum physics and physics as well, you're going to understand that there's an entropy chamber. It's one of the first bases of entropy. So you have basically, when you watch the movie, because it's not a spoiler, but when you watch the movie, there's going to be an infinite reference in regards to blue and red. And that's why it's important for you to do your research on entropy, because in that entropy chamber, they present to you two sides. One is red, one is blue. Now, the thing is that it eventually comes to an equilibrium, which means they eventually balance each other out because they're basically it's a controlled environment. And because it's an controlled environment, basically what they're measuring is the amount of distress or the amount of disorder. So that can never change, but you have variables in regards to time. You have variables in regards to we'll call it a variant in regards to whatever that thing may be. So you may put a orange or apple or whatever. But I think it does well. It does well in regards to time. It does very, very well, but you do have to. I understand why it makes it difficult for people. I wish I wasn't so arrogant about it when I first heard of it, because when he first told me about the movie, he's like, "Yeah, I read the reviews. They said it was hard to understand." I was like, "No, people are just stupid. It's not that hard." And
How rude!
It is.
How
it was.
rude.
I wish
Like,
I wasn't.
Once she explained to me what was going on,
But
because-
I was watching the movie, and I had, of course, I had questions, but I understood it because I had a background in quantum physics. So it wasn't as lost up on me. And I just think when you're one of those fans of the director, what's his name?
Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan. You should know that he's a fan of modern science. He's a fan of time. He's of the manipulation of time, but he's also a fan of quantum physics. So I feel like you can't enjoy his movies or his genre anyway without having
else he
some
made?
solid definition of it.
Inception, The Dark Knight.
Yeah, so he plays on that a lot in regards to his scripts, in regards to how he shoots things.
Was the black guy was the variable? The black
guy is he's
Like
the
the-
protagonist.
well, he's the protagonist and the antagonist. I get that part, but I'm saying.
Well,
as far
no,
as
he's the
experiment-wise-
protagonist. The other people are the antagonists.
Well, I'm saying like experiment wise, like you had the enemy, the antagonist, and him. So they were the two variables. in
Yes,
the
they were the two
situation.
variables that were actually that were manipulating the controlled environment.
Because the independent variable is the one that receives the change. Okay.
And he was also manipulating time in regards to
I'ma
the fact
watch
that
it, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm watching it for that fine man. I'm watching
Hey,
it
I'm
for
gonna tell you
guns.
though, if you just watch it
I'm
off face
watching,
value,
and
it's
then
fun.
I'm gonna go like, oh yeah, Lene was like, it's about something. But I like quantum physics.
It's some scenes
I
that
dropped out of
screenshot it to me. I
physics,
screenshot
so
it.
I
to
might-
me.
and another reason I wanted to
He
bring
does
that up.
well. He
Now,
carries
how-
it well. I will say that he carries the role very well.
Let me tell you something. What is it free? Who got the
It ain't
no,
free.
it
You
ain't
want to
free
watch
yet.
it? You can sign it to my. Yeah, just
who got
just
the
call me.
bootleg fire
But
stick?
the reason that I
just
wanted
out
to
of the-
bring that up is, to me, I feel like because after watching it, I was like, man, this would have been my dad's dream. You know what I'm saying? To see something like that. But the reason that I say that is like, I wish that there were more black-led sci-fi films. Like, you know, like
That- now
black
that's-
cast.
I will
things
just
of that
say while
nature.
we're talking about that Storm
That's-
needs her own movie. Stop playing. Thank you. Okay.
But yeah, like I feel like
See,
because
that's why I think
that's one of
people
those things that
gravitate-
we don't get into. We watching Love and Hip Hop and all
no,
of this.
I read
like-
Marvel. Storm need her own story. Stop playing.
That's why
Like,
I
Wonder
think
Woman,
people
all these other
gravitated to
people.
Lovecraft Country like they did because it is black
It
paranormal and you don't see it.
You do not see it
And
coming.
so,
It's a whole bunch of loopholes in that.
Or black
series.
futurism, which is what really attracted
And
us
if
to
you-
Black Panther
If
too.
you watch the movies, they write us out the future. Like they'll
Oh,
have like
yeah.
one black guy still there. You know what I'm saying? Which
So-
wouldn't make any sense if you want to go dominant recessive genes. It don't make sense. But I'm just saying. I just wish that because those
science
type of
episode
movies, like I say,
is-
it opens your mind. It's like, well, if you can do that, like I say, I have very basic limited understanding of quantum physics, but the little bit that I did, like that can actually happen. Like nuclear fusion, that was another thing that they were talking about there. And I was like, I know what nuclear fusion is. So if people are basically studying the sun and how it, you know, if you don't know, like that's why it's cold in space. The sun's not just hot. You know what I mean? So it's basically the sun counteracts with the plasma. I don't know what to call it. I can't give you the whole definition, but that's why it's hot. That's why you get the weather changes. and things. Yeah.
The what was I gonna say? Dang it, I lost my train of thought. But when you were talking, what were we talking about? The movie Quantum
Yeah.
Black. Oh, right. I'm watching this cartoon that I love. I like anime, so excuse me if I don't fill my time with books. I hadn't had homework in 4 years, but I'm watching Attack on Titan, y'all, and they constantly, you know, and it's about the future where these giants have taken over and they kill people at random. But what they don't realize is that inside the giants are actual people. They used to be actual human beings. So it's kind of deep. But the thing is, there's only one, like a couple of 100,000 people left on Earth. And one of the lines they always say, do you remember when there used to be different types of people in the Earth? But all these people are white. And I'm like, I couldn't imagine a world where everybody not like a little tan, a little beige, because
it's impossible.
if there is one of us, we're gonna
Do what we
tint.
do.
We're gonna tint the fool. You know, like, so that's
But
one of the
I
things.
mean, that's what they say. The war on us begins with that right there. Because I mean, you know, I guess
Dilution?
we done already talked. So I mean, we can continue to talk. Like when I listen to racist people, like they'll say like integration is white genocide, and I be looking like, kind of,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Because if we mate, you know what I'm saying, if we have intercourse
But
and
I
there is a
feel
baby
like
formed.
I feel like that's why they're trying to change it now. You know, like it's like, oh, let us not say that you're completely black because you're mixed. Let's call you biracial.
I mean, but you
But
can try
it
all
used
that
to
all
be-
you want. If a
used
baby
to be
is
a good
made,
drive used to be black.
yeah, if a baby is made, even down the line, a little fro might come up
But
out
you
of
can
there.
also be
When you-
transracial now, so you never know what's happening.
Oh,
okay?
I am a
You never know.
76-year-old white man.
You never
I am
know.
a billionaire, and I'm suing Chase because my account does not reflect that. I got
How you
$150 billion in the account. That's how I feel.
So why don't I?
So why does not my account not reflect that?
For me,
But we're not gonna get in that conversation.
when it comes to a race thing and
$150 billion.
working for a company that like now the trend is diversity and
Lord.
inclusion, we love to. All I hear is a dilution. You need to have. It's okay to have an identity. We go from saying, oh, this person is black to they're a person of color, which takes away from their whole experience. And it's not that other people of color hadn't had an experience. It's just that a black experience is totally different than
I'm black.
the
I'm not a
Asian
person
experience.
of color.
Well,
And
I'll
I
say
feel
they
like
can get deeper too.
when it comes down to it,
To
I might
me, you
need to
can
leave
be
this off
both.
the podcast. I'll make that come.
Look, we already done talk.
I'll make it after.
we didn't.
I'll
we
make
done
it
got there.
afterwards.
But, I mean, you know.
Okay, if it comes down, if it came down to a black person, an Asian, an Indian, and a Mexican person in a room, we're all considered people of color. Who are they going to throw under the bus first? The black person. You going down.
And when it comes
You're
to
not going down with
policy
the
making,
shit.
that's why it's
That's
important.
exactly
Like,
what
for
happened.
me, it's like when it comes to my feelings, I know people are racist. I'm not expecting you to be good. I'm not expecting you to be moral. But when it comes to policies that make it fair, I need you to understand my
Yes,
experience.
that is what I care about.
And so, like, for equality and justice and all of that, that's when it's important.
The people in power don't believe in equality. They believe
Nah,
in staying
because
in power.
it doesn't
was
work, or it wouldn't be a
equality,
power. It wouldn't be a
Right.
power
Even
structure.
when you listen to some of these people that are, you know, they I guess sympathizers, you know, that'll talk about white privilege. It's like, but you know, you're supposed to use it, you know, in a good way. No,
Because that's
ain't
how
no
I feel right
using
now
nothing.
in regards to policy, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I tell people all the time that I don't advocate for equality.
Yeah.
Well, let me say that a better way. I don't advocate for acceptance. I don't care to accept you and your lifestyle, but I will advocate in regards to you having the same opportunity, which is essentially sounds better now, which is essentially your equality. Like, okay, marry who you want to marry, love who you want to love, be who you want to be.
And I'll say-
However, that does not mean that I have to align with that. That doesn't mean that I have to be a champion for your cause.